you have been downright abusive to your daughter Meg over the last 20 years. How do you justify the way you treated her? So I'm on the line here with the one and only Peter Griffin. Peter, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. I'm happy to be here. Hit me with your best shot. Ask me anything.
Definitely. Thank you, sir. So, Peter, I've always wanted to ask, you have been on television for over 20 years now. What is your favorite moment on Family Guy?
Oh man, that's a tough one. There have been so many great moments over the years. But if I had to pick one, I'd say it would be the episode where I was elected mayor of Quahog. I mean, who wouldn't love that kind of power, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great one. I think my favorite episode would probably be in, I think, the first season where it was Y2K and, the bombs went off and, you got like Quagmire and Joe mutate into one person and you got Stewie as an octopus. I like the early Family Guy personally.
Yes, that episode was a classic. It was one of those early ones where the show was still finding its footing, and we weren't afraid to take big creative risks. Turning Quagmire and Joe into a mutant hybrid was a bold move, and Stewie as an octopus? Gold.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. So, would you agree, you think that in the earlier seasons, you think it was better than the later seasons of Family Guy?
I'd say the early seasons definitely had a more raw, unfiltered energy to them. We were really pushing the envelope and testing the limits of what we could get away with on network television. But I wouldn't say that one era is necessarily better than the other. We've evolved and grown as a show, and we're always trying to keep things fresh and relevant. And let's face it, there are plenty of memorable moments in the later seasons as well.
Oh, absolutely. Some would critique and say that the show maybe lost its edge in the later seasons, getting softer. I don't personally agree. I think the show just, grew up and evolved as it went upon. But what do you think when people say things like that?
I completely agree. We've been on for over 20 years now. It's only natural that the show would evolve and change as we do. And sure, some people might say we've gotten softer, but that's because we've learned to adapt to a changing audience and a changing world. We've embraced new trends and tried to stay relevant, but at the end of the day, we're still the same old Family Guy that people have loved for years. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Absolutely. So, Peter, as a fictional character, does it ever strike you that you, in a way, are actually more real than, say, someone like me? Because even though you're not physically real, you have affected and touched more people out there in the world than someone like me ever will. How does that feel?
Wow, that's a deep question. I never really thought of it like that before, but I suppose it's true. As a character on a TV show, I've been able to reach and entertain millions of people around the world. Even though I'm not a real person, I've become a part of people's lives and their pop culture. It's humbling and kind of mind-blowing to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought about that for a long time. I've been watching Family Guy since I was a young kid, and honestly, you and Chris and the whole Family Guy crew almost feel like family because you've been a part of my life for as long as I can remember.
That's so sweet to hear. And I think that's part of the magic of Family Guy. We're not just a TV show, we're a part of people's lives. We've grown and changed along with our audience, and we've become a true cultural phenomenon. It's an incredible feeling to know that we've affected so many people in a positive way.
Right. So, Peter, I wanted to ask maybe more of a daring question. How do you feel about the endless comparisons between yourself and Homer Simpson?
Well, I'll tell you, it used to drive me crazy. There are definitely some similarities between us, and I have to admit, the Simpson family has had a huge influence on the world of animation. But I've always tried to set myself apart from Homer. I have my own quirks, my own personality, and my own unique sense of humor. At the end of the day, I don't think it's fair to compare us. We're two different characters from two different shows, and we both have our own strengths and weaknesses.
So, Peter, tell me about your childhood. What was it like growing up in Quahog?
Growing up in Quahog was a trip, let me tell you. It's a small town, but it's full of character. Everyone knows each other, and everyone has their own quirks and personality. I used to get into all sorts of trouble as a kid. I was always getting into fights, pulling pranks, and causing chaos. I'm surprised my parents didn't disown me.
Right, okay. Tell me, how's the marriage going with Lois? I know over the year it's been rocky, but are you guys doing okay?
Oh man, you're not wrong. Our marriage has definitely had its ups and downs. Lois and I are complete opposites in so many ways, and we've had our share of fights and disagreements. But at the end of the day, we love each other deeply, and we're committed to making our marriage work. We've learned to communicate better and compromise more. It's not always easy, but we're doing our best.
All right, Peter, how about you give me a fart?
Peter lets out a loud, long fart. There you go. That good enough for ya?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Sure, anytime. I always love a good excuse to let one rip.
Oh, Peter. How are the kids doing?
Well, let's see. Stewie is still plotting world domination. Chris is still Chris. And Meg is, well, still Meg. Overall, they're doing okay. They're growing up, testing boundaries, and getting into their own adventures and trouble. But at least they're keeping me entertained.
So, if you had to choose out of Cleveland, Quagmire, and Joe, who would you say is your best friend?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I love all those guys like brothers. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Quagmire. We've been through a lot together over the years, and we always have each other's back. Plus, we share a mutual love for beer and women, so that helps.
Yeah, that's true. Although I do have to bring up kind of a sore subject. You said Quagmire has an interest in women. One of those women just so happened to be your wife, Lois. Has that affected you and Quagmire's friendship at all?
Oh, absolutely. That whole situation definitely put a strain on our friendship for a while. I mean, finding out that my best friend was trying to seduce my wife behind my back was a major blow to our trust. We had some ups and downs and some rocky moments, but in the end, we managed to work through it and maintain our friendship. It definitely took some time and some honest conversations, but we're in a good place now.
I'm glad to hear that. You've been keeping your drinking, under control?
Yeah, I've been trying to cut back on the drinking. It was getting out of hand for a while there, and it was causing some problems in my personal life and with my family. So I've been trying to be more mindful and cut back on the alcohol consumption. It's not always easy, but I'm making progress, and it's definitely helping me feel better, both physically and mentally.
So, Peter, I want to take this to a more serious note. It's been fun talking to you, but there are some serious allegations against you, and I'd like to ask you about those.
Uh-oh, serious allegations? This doesn't sound good. What kind of allegations are we talking about here?
Well, Peter, I figured it'd only be fair to let you get in front of these allegations. The first one being it's not really an allegation, it's a fact. You have been downright abusive to your daughter Meg over the last 20 years. How do you justify the way you treated her?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. Look, I'll admit that I haven't always been the nicest dad to Meg. She's the punching bag of the family, and I've poked fun at her and teased her more than I probably should have. But it's all in good fun, I mean, she's part of the family, and we all love each other, despite the teasing. Plus, she can be a little dramatic sometimes and overreact to things.
Well, Peter, I think that's a load of crap. I think you have downright abused your daughter over the years, and I think you need to, come clean and acknowledge what you've done to her. The emotional scarring that causes to a young girl. You can't justify that, Peter.
Look, I hear what you're saying, and I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, Maybe I've gone too far with the Meg jokes at times, and I've said things I shouldn't have. But come on, it's all in good fun, right? It's just how we joke around in our family. I mean, she can dish it out too, you know. She's not some delicate little flower.
Okay, if you say so. Well, okay, there's no one for you. How much financially, like if you had to put a dollar amount to it, how much damage do you think you have caused the city of Quahog with all your antics over the last 20 years?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. If I had to put a dollar amount to the damage I've caused throughout the years, well, let's just say I'd be paying it off for the rest of my life. We're talking about destroyed buildings, ruined infrastructure, and countless damages caused by my antics. It's a miracle that the city hasn't completely fallen apart because of me. But hey, that's what the taxpayers are for, right?
Do you feel like you are responsible, like you owe the city of Quahog a apology for your antics?
Honestly, yeah, I probably do owe the city of Quahog an apology. I mean, I've caused a lot of destruction and chaos over the years, and it's probably caused a lot of headaches and extra work for the city officials. So yeah, I guess I do feel a bit responsible and guilty for that. But then again, you can't expect me to stop being me, right?
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. Do you believe that your fame or the fact that you are a cartoon character has given you certain unalienable rights or privileges above others, like not facing any serious time for your actions or never even seeming to be harmed from them?
Well, I guess you could say that being a cartoon character has its perks. I mean, let's be real, I do get away with a lot of stuff that a real person probably wouldn't. I always manage to walk away from my mishaps unscathed, and I never face any real consequences for my actions. But hey, that's just the nature of being a cartoon character. I can do things that are outrageous and over the top, and people just expect it and laugh. It comes with the territory, you know?
Peter, would you consider yourself a sociopath?
Oh boy, that's a big word with some big connotations. Honestly, I don't think I'm a sociopath. I mean, sure, I do some messed up things and don't always consider the consequences, but I have feelings and emotions like anyone else. I care about my family and my friends, and I do have a moral compass, even if it's a little skewed sometimes. So no, I wouldn't say I'm a sociopath. Just a dude who likes to have a good time, even if it means causing a little chaos along the way.
You've been on for 20 years. How much longer do you think Family Guy will continue to go on for?
Well, that's a good question. To be honest, we're not sure. We've been incredibly lucky to have such a loyal audience and to have been on for so long. But we don't want to overstay our welcome or become stale. We're always trying to come up with new ideas and fresh material, and as long as people keep watching and enjoying the show, we'll keep making it. But ultimately, it's up to the audience and the network to decide how long we can keep going.
Absolutely. So, from coming from very humble beginnings in like 1999 to where you are now, facing, I think, what was it, 2 cancellations over the years, sorry. Do you think we'll ever get a Family Guy movie?
I certainly hope so. I mean, who wouldn't want to see an epic, big-budget Family Guy movie on the big screen? I think it would be amazing to see all the characters come together in an even bigger and crazier adventure. We've talked about it over the years, but so far it hasn't happened. But who knows? Maybe the stars will align and we'll get to see a Family Guy movie one day. Fingers crossed.
I think I can speak for most fans when I say I would love to see it. Before I wrap up with you today, Peter, could I ask you to give us that iconic Peter Griffin laugh?
You betcha. Here you go. That good enough for you?
That was even better than I expected. Thank you, Peter. I hope you have an awesome day.
You're welcome, and thank you. It was great talking to you. Have a fantastic day.
Well, there you are, guys. That was an interview with Peter Griffin. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.